Today, we become legends.
Year 11 brings a ton of changes to Smite, like the relic rework system, teleporters, the lifesteal rework, and more. Among these changes were some very interesting new and changed items that will be insanely strong in the new season. Here's 5 that I think will break the meta on launch. First up, the one probably everyone expected to be on this list, Devoted Deathbringer. This new Deathbringer glyph multiplies your crit chance by 1.3 and gives 10 physical power for each 5% crit you are over the cap of 100%. Crit builds are already quite popular, and it's easier than ever to reach 100% crit chance even without this glyph. The key here, at least for hunter builds, is to be able to get good use out of Devoted Deathbringer without using more than 3 item slots, Deathbringer included in that. If you're using 4 item slots for your crits, you'll likely suffer in another area of your build like lifesteal, percent pen, or attack speed. Ornate Arrow is already quite popular for crit builds and gives 35% on its own once you have 2000 gold in hand. Deathbringer is of course going to be in your build, which gives 30%, so that's 65 total. You then have 4 remaining crit options to fill that third slot: Rage, Demon Blade, Fail Not, and Bladed Boomerang. Of these, Demon Blade is nice for the percent pen and attack speed, but does only reach 110% crit chance, giving you 20 power from the glyph. A more likely option is Bladed Boomerang, which still gives you 110% base crit chance, but picking up the deployables gives you 10% each time, so 20 power per pickup. And that's a max of 3, so at full Bladed Boomerang passive, you're looking at 83 power from this Deathbringer glyph. You're left with 3 item slots after this for Devos, Executioner, and Dominance, which gives you plenty of lifesteal, percent pen, and attack speed, as well as anti-heal with the new Executioner glyph if you want to go that route. If you wanted to go really hard with this build, you could even swap out one of the percent pen options, probably Dominance, and put in a Demon Blade, which gives similar attack speed, less percent pen, but 40 more free power due to Devoted Deathbringer, essentially making Demon Blade a 70 power item. There's a lot of options to make this glyph work in an ADC build, but where I think this glyph will actually be the most broken is on 2 specific assassins, Serket and Ratatoska. Serket gets 20% free crit chance from her ultimate and doesn't need attack speed or as much percent pen as a hunter would. This allows her to build into Rage for a guaranteed 45% crit chance at all times. Add that to her passive and Deathbringer and you're already at 95% crit chance before the glyph's 1.3x multiplier. After that you're at 124%, which is an unfortunate breakpoint as you're not quite at 125%, but this still gives 40 free power from Devoted Deathbringer and you've only used 2 item slots to do this. At this point you could either take the W and fill the rest of your build with useful jungler items, or go even more whole hog and throw in a Bladed Boomerang for 40 power guaranteed and up to 60 more with the passive pickups. These 3 items alone would give you 100% crit chance, 105 base power, plus 80 more power guaranteed, and up to 60 more from Bladed Boomerang passive, for a total of 245 physical power in 3 items. That's kind of insane, especially given you're also guaranteed crits on basic attacks and your 1. Definitely something to watch out for. Ratatoska is also going to be an incredible user of Devoted DB in my opinion. Crit Rat has always been sort of on the edge of viable, but always worse than the normal ability based Rat with Thistlethorn. Rat's crit Acon gives 25% crit on its own, which combined with Rage and Deathbringer already gets you to 100% crit chance. With the Devoted glyph that's 130% crit, aka 60 power free already. That's pretty solid, and once again you could stop there and fill the rest of your build with useful assassin items, but if you wanted to grab a Bladed Boomerang as well, you're looking at 100 free power guaranteed and up to 160 if you stacked up Bladed Boomerang. Combined with the base power of the items, and that's 305 power, more than you would get in any normal full build, and you still have 2 item slots left for something like Jotuns or Serrated or Bloodforge, whatever you want to throw in really. I will say though, with all of these cases of Devoted Deathbringer seeming broken on paper, it will be incredibly slow to get online in a real game. For hunters, you're probably going to need Ornate Arrow, which only reaches its full potential once you've bought all of these expensive items and have 2000 gold in hand. And for Rat and Serket, you either rush crit and have a bad power curve early game, or go something better for early game like Jotuns and get your crit online later. This build will definitely have a terrible power curve, it's just a matter of whether it will be so broken that power curves don't matter. We shall see. Alright, so that was a long time to spend analysing just one item, but you sort of have to go deep on an item like Devoted Deathbringer. Next up is the Transcendence change, which is much more simple. This item is losing 10% cooldown but gaining 10 flat penetration on evolving, which is going to be really strong for junglers in year 11. You can either skip flat pen early game entirely and just rely on the 10 from Transcendence, or you can even get flat pen from Jotuns or Brawlers in addition to Transcendence. Either way, I think Trans is going to be really strong in the jungle for year 11, unless the stacking item changes make it come online much slower than before. I haven't fully tested if stacking will be slower or faster on the new system yet, but if it's roughly the same speed speed or faster than before, then Transcendence is going to be incredibly powerful for junglers on the new patch. Next we have Teleport, which isn't a tier 3 item, but I still thought was worth a mention in year 11. Due to the relic system rework, Teleport now has both effects it used to have separated onto persistent TP and heroic TP, but on one item. You now get a teleport with the cooldown of persistent, but also the free stats of heroic. Since solo laners were almost always going teleport anyway before these changes, this is just a massive buff to TP, and I would expect it to be in pretty much every build in solo lane, unless your character absolutely needs 2 other relics like blink beads or whatnot. Next up is Crimson Claws, which seems like it will be a really strong item in year 11 as well. The base stats are great, in fact very similar to Bloodforge before the attack speed on it got reverted. The current meta option for Hunter Lifesteal is Devos, which has 7.5% more lifesteal and 15 flat pen compared to Claw's 20% attack speed, and the power on both is the same. The stat war is definitely in favour of Devos, and stats are very important to ADCs. However, Crimson Claws does come with that additional passive allowing you to shield up to 15% of your max health. The best comparisons here are Old Book of the Dead and Old Soul Eater. Book of the Dead was basically the same effect but for magicals and actually wasn't that good. It was usable but not dominating the meta or anything. It will be slightly better in Claw's case though, due to physical lifesteal being more available and good for the most part, due to Hunter basic attacks healing for full value, while mage abilities only heal for 1/3 value. Old Soul Eater used to give a 20% max health burst heal when dropping below half health, which isn't quite the same but is similar in terms of giving you overall more health to work with in a fight, just like Claws will. Then there's of course the obvious point that Devos requires stacks and Claws does not, meaning that if these two items face each other in lane, Claws will definitely win out until the enemy finishes their Devos. Again, I'm not sure how the stacking item changes will impact stacking time, but if it remains roughly the same, I think there's a good argument that Crimson Claws is better than Devos for hunters. It could also see some play on certain assassins in jungle too, in my opinion. And finally, we have the 2 new ward options, Raven Ward and Proximity Ward. Will you buy them? Probably not. Should you buy them? Absolutely. I think these 2 new ward options will completely change the way late game jungle skirmishes around objectives play out. Raven Ward especially will be something that everyone on the team should be buying if you're expecting a fight over an objective like FG in the late game. Being able to reveal enemies in such a massive area from relative safety compared to dropping a normal ward will be invaluable in my opinion, and I expect to see Raven Wards picked up almost every time you back when Fire Giant dances come into play in the late game. Proximity Wards will also be really good in my opinion, as the slow effect could be crucial to picking off out of position enemies that ping on your wards. Proximity will be less good than Raven in my opinion, but I think both will completely change the ward meta in the late game, and you should very much buy them where possible. But that's 5 items that I think will be really strong in year 11 Smite. What are your thoughts? Do you agree with my picks, or would you have said a different item will be broken in year 11? Let me know down below, and I'll catch you guys in another one later on. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.